Computer audio. The recording is going to start right now. And we'll get started here in just a sec.
It looks like our only option is to either accept the recording or leave the meeting. So we hope you accept the recording
Yeah.
for this presentation today.
Limited choices. Limited choices.
All right.
All right.
Well, it is 3:30, so we are going to begin. In order to honor your time, I'm Audra Sabaji, one of the DIS team members. I'll let the other two presenters for this group go ahead and introduce themselves.
I'm Rhonda Siqueiros. Good to see you guys. Thank you again for attending. And I'm also a member of the DIS team. And with us today, we have a special guest from the Data and Technology Department. You out there, Corey?
Yes, I am here. My name is Corey. I'm with the data team. I do pretty much everything Illuminate. So yeah, any questions, you guys can put them in the chat and I can help you guys out.
Perfect. Thank you for being here with us, Corey.
Yeah, we strong-armed Corey into being here. It wasn't too tough, though. He was a willing participant. So thank you, Corey.
Awesome. Okay. So just some to go over some norms for the day. Keep your microphones on mute unless you have a question, and then we encourage you to just unmute and ask if you need to, or interrupt and clarify something. We're happy to do that. This is more of a conversational approach, professional development, if you will. The chat box is also there, like Corey mentioned. So if at any time you have a question for the group or of the group, or that the group would benefit from, put it in there. If it's a private question, you can always private message Corey, and he can answer anything that you need for you. And then as far as video, we would appreciate if you could keep your video on today. We understand there are things that come up, but if you're able to, we would encourage you to use the video feature. Our agenda for the day is, I'm sorry, I'm toggling back and forth here. So we just wanted to keep it to the basics. This is, if you either are new to Illuminate or you've used it and you've maybe forgotten a few things, or just you wanted some, suggestions on assessments, this is what we've got for the day. So we're going to go over login procedures. We're going to go over just what types of assessments there are available to you and also some creation of assessments. Reports, we're going to go over what types of reports you might use when and where to locate those. And then we're going to have a whole block of time for just questions and answers, because there's probably things that we won't cover that you just want to know. So if at any time, again, if you have any questions, feel free to shout those out to us, but there will be a designated time just for that. So that's what our day is going to look like, or our hour is going to look like today.
Okay, so slides say you need permission. I put the bit.ly in the chat. Audra, you have permissions on the bit.ly on the slides. So maybe share. Anyone in the world should be able to view our wonderful presentation. That's what I think. Can we charge a fee?
So
let Audra adjust that real quick.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer, for saying that. Anybody else, if you were late getting here, I'm going to drop the bit.ly in the chat one more time. So you guys will have this to refer back to. If you, once Audra adjusts the permissions, you should be able to refresh. And if you weren't able to get in, you should.
Okay, I just changed the permissions. Will you guys check? Oh, I see more participants.
Thumbs up, I see thumbs up. That's good.
Okay,
we're good.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
All right.
So learning target for the day, we're going to explore Illuminate to discover or rediscover how to utilize it in our classrooms for assessment and data collection. So, and as Oprah would say, you get a learning target and you get a learning target.
Everybody gets a learning target.
Everybody gets learning target today.
All right. Very good. Okay, so we're going to start with the simplest, hopefully, of the simple, which is how to log in. So if you go to the website listed here, which it's It is a link. So if you're in the bit.ly, you should be able to click on it. I'm going to switch screens so you can kind of see how that looks on your end. This login page will actually require you to search for your district. So you should be able to type in Sanger, and then Sanger Unified School District will pop up. Okay. And then we'll ask for your login credentials. All right. So couple things about Illuminate login. Unlike some of the others, there isn't a default password. If you are a brand new teacher and you have never logged into Illuminate, you actually don't have a password that we know. So you're going to have to use the forgot password option. And that should generate an email about how to reset your password. Be sure to check your spam, because we found that with some people, the Illuminate email has just kind of gravitated to the spam. You never see it. But that's why we brought in Corey, because Corey's going to be our expert. So if you could message him in the chat and say, I'm having trouble getting in, he will help you. Your username is going to be your first _ last. Okay. And then again, if you are a veteran and you have used Illuminate before, you do have a password that at some point you set, but you can also use the forgot password option to regenerate a password. So I'm going to give you guys a minute. I'm putting the bit.ly back in the chat if you are just joining us. So you have that. This lengthy website here, that's going to take you directly to your staff login, right? So you don't have to search Sanger Unified. Okay. And I just put the note up here for me when I am away from my computer or using something like a different device. Sometimes if I'm on my phone and I can't remember the site login, I go to the Sanger District website, so sanger.k12.ca.us. And if you go to district resources, there is an option for employee logins, and it's going to let you see access to a lot of the different employee login pages. So it's like my own personal cheat sheet. I don't think it's intended that way, but that's how I use it. All right. So if you guys would, if you are having trouble, please let us know by a thumbs down, give us a thumbs up if you're good to go. We don't want to spend too much time on login.
Or just put something in the chat, just letting us know that we're good.
Thank you, Haley. I see thumbs up.
I saw Jennifer's thumbs up.
Logged in. Good.
I saw
Corey, this
Lisa's
is way
thumbs
too
up.
easy. Somebody better have a problem, because Corey otherwise is going to be like, why am I here? I don't need to listen to Audra and Rhonda talk. All right. Okay. I'm
Thank
just
you,
checking
Erin.
through.
She's logged in.
Yeah. I'm thinking we're
Haley
good.
is good. Yeah, I think most people are ready.
I think we are good to go. Okay, so we will go ahead and continue. Again, if you have an issue, drop it in the chat and we'll get you some support. Okay, so I wanted to talk for a moment about the tiles. When you log in, you may see something that looks similar to the image that's on this screen. And your tiles are editable to some degree. So you can see up here on mine, it says, hi, Rhonda, but I see BAS class roster report. A lot of these are actually up until this gray view assessments. These are all district established tiles. They're supposed to be just like quick links. Okay. So you can't customize any of this top part, but at the bottom of your screen, there might be something that says edit dashboard. And if you click on that, you'll see that these others like view assessments, create an assessment, here is create a flexible assessment. All of those are things that you can customize. So if you become, not if, when you become that savvy Illuminate user, you'll be able to just click on a tile, it'll take you right where you want to go. Okay, so just wanted to show you that that's an option. And if you, like me, were frustrated, like, why do I need this SBAC student login card? I don't need that, which you might, so don't be like me. But if you want to get it off there, you can't, because it's a district created tile. Okay, and hopefully, I think, Corey, if I misrepresented any of that, you can shame me in the chat. Please don't do it vocally, but in the chat, feel free to shame me if I got that one wrong. But I think we're good.
Rhonda,
All right.
I love it.
Okay. All right. So we're jumping over to assessments, and I have a feeling this is going to take the bulk of our time. So for people newer to Sanger Unified, Illuminate is probably all you've ever known in the district. But we did have a horrible system very similar to Illuminate right before. And I think it was called Edgesoft. And it was kind of known for its not so great item bank of questions that teachers were encouraged to use, but the questions were really horrible. Like we would have discussions in PLCs about like, what the heck is the answer to this? I can't even figure it out. How are the kids supposed to figure it out? Kind of thing. But even Illuminate, if you've used Illuminate, there have been tremendous improvements, not only in the item bank, but also in the capacity of question types, right? So if we want to prepare students for the CASP, there are question types built in now that emulate that. Right. So it's a good option. So we're going to talk about two specific types, and Audra and I have debated like back and forth. What is the best way to go about this? I think I would like you to walk through these steps with me, right? So if you have the bit.ly open, we are going to go through the steps of creating a flexible assessment. And you may wonder, okay, what the heck is a flexible assessment? A flexible assessment is, in my opinion, the one you're going to use the most, because it's the one for which you already have an existing test, right? You have a unit test or a summative assessment for a particular skill set, and you have the hard copy, but now you want to collect data. Your PLC wants to collect data. You want to see how your subgroups are doing. So you are going to use a flexible assessment to generate like that Scantron or data collection tool. Illuminate allows the capacity to take tests online, and there is a lockdown browser that we have within Illuminate. So those of you who have administered the CASP, when you administer the CASP, you use that California Secure Browser, so students can't get into other like apps or whatnot during the test. Illuminate has that feature as well. So this was something we explored last year during the pandemic. However, if students are taking a test from home, they don't need a lockdown browser because they have these little doohickeys right here and they just get on the other one. So it doesn't matter. The lockdown browser we have with Illuminate is intended to be used in an in-class setting. So we are not going to go over how that works today, but we will have other Illuminate presentations to go over that. And at the very end of this presentation, there is a resource slide with a whole PowerPoint. So if you're like, wow, I really wanted the online part, it's at the end. You can access it today. Okay, so I would like you to go into your Illuminate account, and there are two, and I'm gonna switch screens and take you through this process. Okay, so I'm logging in.
We are learning by doing today, you guys.
We are learning by doing. Yes. Okay, and here is my very big screen. So a couple ways to access or to start the assessment. I can click on the tile here, create an assessment, or I can come over here to the left side of my menu and click assessments. Either way, gonna pretty much take me to the same place. I'm gonna use my shortcut because it's here, and I'm gonna click create an assessment. And you will notice that there are 5 different assessment types. We're going to focus on flexible, and if we have time today, we're going to get into this new item bank. Skills assessments are mostly for little kids, and if you choose to give the DPA this year, it will be administered on Illuminate via a skills assessment, but we're going to talk about the flexible. And you can see here it describes it just briefly: create an answer key and upload a PDF for paper or online administration. You don't have to upload the PDF, but I'm going to click flexible. It's going to ask me then to create an assessment title. And so go ahead and do this. So I'm going to call it Rhonda's Fantastic Fake Assessment. Make sure you name it something far out, okay? Because otherwise you're going to try to deliver it to kids.
Rhonda, you just named it Rhonda's FFA, by the way.
Oh,
that's how I will remember it.
Okay. There we go. And then hit create. And now my assessment is saved. So again, this is assuming that I have a pre-created test, and I can determine from the beginning if I know how many questions it's a pre-created test, so you should know. I can add another until I get to them, enter all of them. That's an option I have. What you see right here with the MC and the drop down is the various question types. So there's a multiple choice. There's a multiple choice with partial credit. There's a constructed response. So those of you who are collecting answers like brief writes, okay, that'll work. Explicit constructed response. So if it is something that they have to type in and there's a specific word or words that you're looking for, it will self-grade for you. Unfortunately, it won't do the constructed response. I see you, Mr. Cheney. I know English people would love it if they could grade the constructed response for you. There would be no sales pitch. It would be a done deal if that was the case. Multiple choice advanced. So again, different levels of multiple choice, constructed response advanced, and then there's a number grid. So these are all question types that did not previously exist within Illuminate that exists now. Okay. And so we aren't going to spend a ton of time going into those question types because that's not basic, but we will get to that at a later Illuminate training. So I'm just going to add my 5 fake questions. And then my step would be to go in, select my answer choice. I can determine the weight of each question, if some of them are going to be weighted more heavily. If I decide question 2 really should be question 1, it's as simple as drag and drop. So it's very easy to navigate. My suggestion, I went out of order based on what I had on the slides. And this is why I would recommend that the first step before you add all the questions is that you go to the standard button, click on standard. And so one of the reasons why we're using this is to see how our students are doing on specific standards, right? Specific skill sets. So if you click standards, you are able to select the standard that you, or standards that you are assessing. So I had selected grades 11 and 12 English language arts, and then I can click the strand or the subgroup, and then I can search and select standards. Okay, so you can add as many as you would like, as many as you have questions, right? And so that's it with standards. The reason I recommend doing that first is just because it's easier to link them after the fact. And then when I go out here to my my test creation page, I click on standard and I can choose which standard. So I'm going to select RI 12.1. And now my standard is selected. Question groups is fantastic because, as we know, as many of you have participated in, perhaps we've broken down our standards, right, into different learning targets within each standard. So question groups allows you to subdivide a standard. So like, for example, I'm going to click back on my RI 11, whatever. So there's multiple things in here. There's citing strong and thorough text evidence. There's drawing inferences. So those are separate skills. So if you want to separately assess a skill within a standard, you would create question groups. All right. So that's kind of how that works. It's not basic, but I'm trying to give you the information that's on the page there. I want to pause really quick and see if anybody has questions, because I'm talking an awful lot and I need to catch my breath. Anybody have questions? Throw them in the chat if you do.
I couldn't
Lisa, go
find
for
how
it.
you found the standards.
Say again.
Show me again how you found the standards.
Yes.
So I clicked Common Core. Do it again.
Standards. Okay. So I'm going to go to provider here and I'm going to do Common Core. I did Common Core content standards.
That's what it was on the bottom. Okay, I didn't catch that one.
It's hiding
Okay.
because there's a ton of them here, right? So
I saw
if
the
you're
science.
doing,
Yeah.
science is there. There's all kinds of goodies.
Perfect.
Okay. And then you can do your subject and then grade level. Did that take you there? You good, Vanessa? Thank you for asking that question, though. It's a very good question, because remember that this is a national platform. So not everybody is, California Common Core.
Perfect. Thank you.
We are, but
Any other questions out there? That was a good one. That was helpful. Okay.
okay. So that is basically the flexible assessment. I can print answer sheets for this, and students can bubble in what is the equivalent of a fancy Scantron, cheaper than a Scantron, and they are just scanned in. Or if I choose, it can be administered online, and it can be entirely digital. If I didn't want to upload the document, I would print out a paper packet for students to take the test, right? To go through the test, and then they would just answer online. Okay, so there are different options, but you do have the ability to upload a PDF and do the entire thing online. So, and that's what this upload materials button is for. So I could drag and drop from my computer, or my Google Drive, and the test would exist within Illuminate. As we move toward district-wide assessments for 7 through 12, this is probably going to be the thing. It's probably going to be the way. Okay. And then I have options here, settings to determine, how I want it shown in the portal. What are the performance bands going to be? And then when I'm done, I click done. And there is my assessment. Rhonda's fantastic fake assessment. So do I want to administer it paper, online? I can edit it. I can add people and share it with my PLC. So if you're the person here representing your PLC, and that means you're going to be making the Illuminate assessments, this is how you will share. So I can click on that, and I can share with everyone. I can share with my entire site. I can share with my grade level department, or I can scroll all the way down and share with individual users and type in their names, which is probably the best way to go, because, and Corey, you might know better about this. I'm not sure where the information is pulled from, but I know that when I was PLC lead, I would just type in names. Here shows you too the permissions, right? So like with Google, you can allow people to administer, you can just share, and then you can monitor who edits. Let's be real. Every PLC has one person who always screws it up, mess with your formatting or something, and it's not purposeful. It isn't. So I'm that person sometimes, but you may want to control who can edit, right? So just FYI, that's how that works. All right. Are we good with flexible assessments?
I'm seeing a lot of head nods, Rhonda. I think.
Okay. All right. We're good then. Okay.
I have a question. One
Yes.
question.
Go for it.
How about for the kiddos? What do we give them if we wanted to administer it online? Do they log in with their username, their school ID?
Yes, with their iPads.
Okay.
And so at the very end of this presentation, there is a resource page, and there is a slides presentation that takes you through all the steps. One thing that's really great about the online assessments is, just like with CASP, you can do progress monitoring, so you can watch them digitally as they're going through. So it's a great tool.
Okay. And I heard through the grapevine that the grade automatically just goes into a grade book, right? Isn't that the good part of this? Or not
I
really?
do not
No?
know that.
Oh, I thought that it did. No?
I'm pretty sure
Oh.
it does.
Wait,
Corey,
okay.
would you be able to answer that question?
K through 5 maybe, because they have Illuminate grade books. I don't know if you are 6 through 12, it's Power School. So I would be pretty confident it's a no for 6 through 12. This might be one of those benefits for the K through 5.
So in the past, K5 did have, if you had a grade book set up, then you could
Allow the grades
assign
to
it
transfer.
and allow it to transfer over. So then it was an automatic populated, like it would populate your progress report and your report card for you. I don't know the steps to that. I'm not sure, Corey, if you would be able to answer that question for us.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So do the grades automatically populate to the report card for grades K5 from their grade book?
That I'm not sure. I think it should. Like
Okay.
if they connect it to their grade book, then it should.
Okay.
So
we can confirm that, but in the past it did. So I can
On
definitely
the-
work.
I've done it. I haven't done this type of assessment, but I've done the item bank questions and I use those every year in my classroom. And there's a button once the kids finish that you can click link to report card or link to
Perfect.
gradebook, and it has you
Perfect.
choose which gradebook and it does everything for you with the standards linked.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So link to gradebook.
And then,
See if you're learning too.
yes, that's good. Thank you for sharing that, Haley.
Thank you, Haley.
So Mr. Cheney's question about the portal and each teacher selecting their window to administer, I believe if the test is shared, like depending on the level, even if they can administer, if the sharing just allows them to administer the test, everyone should be able to determine their own assessment window. And there are like oddities that I wouldn't have thought of within the testing window, like, you know, do you want them to time out? Do you want them after so many, you know, it's very, very well thought out. But all of that information is in that presentation that's on the resource page. So you guys can explore that and go step by step. Okay. So we're going to go, and this was like a very like step-by-step walkthrough because I wanted you to have that kind of opportunity to do it, because we talk about doing things, but then, you know, nobody has time. So I wanted to show you that here. But I'm going to show you just really quickly how it would be different for the
new bank.
Thank you. I was like losing it. The item bank assessment.
Item bank.
Okay. So I'm going to click here again on create an assessment, and we're going to use this new item bank, which we do have in Sanger Unified. So I'm going to click new item bank. And it's going to look a little bit different, but I'm going to call it Rhonda's item bank practice. Okay. And then I'm going to hit create. And so now I have the opportunity to build a test or browse through the item bank to select questions for my test. All right, so I'm going to click browse. And much like I did with the flexible assessment, I have to create my standards. So I'm going to edit my base standards here because you guys see I'm very fond of the reading for literature, reading for info, you know, one, because it's very important. But I'll do a little different this time. So I'm doing Common Core. I'm going to do math, way out of my wheelhouse. And we're going to go with grade 5. Okay. So Jennifer Torres, this is for you. Okay.
And Aaron Palisi.
And Aaron Palisi. Okay. We got a couple 5th grade teachers here. So it's loading. Maybe this was a bad idea because it's going to load and who knows if that will be successful. But what would happen is very similarly, it's going to load the standards. I'm going to click on the standards that I want, and then I'm going to click done. I may have to withdraw my fancy offer of 5th grade math. Okay, I'm clicking done. But you can see along the window here, I have the option for, there's my standard, which is still the same one I had started with. I can choose from a bank. So as teachers build, don't browse, but in Sanger Unified, as we build questions, there is the option to put those into this item bank, the Sanger Unified School District item bank. But these are options you have. And then you have the option of different item types. So I could do multiple choice. I can look for charting, classification, constructed response. There are 15 different item types here. Okay. And so I apologize that I am on 11th and 12th grade English, but I'm going to check for multiple choice, constructed response, and multi-part answers. Those are going to be the ones I'm looking for. I also have the option to choose a particular depth of knowledge. Okay, so if you're looking for, you know, simple recall, you can do that. I have 3 selected here, so it's going to give me more options. And then you can see up here at the top that I have 25 of 87 results showing. This is what is coming up based on my search. So this is a passage, 3 items from the novel Siddhartha. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, and this is like definitely from an English perspective, but for anything really, if it is going to involve a passage or reading passage, a passage with one item is something that's going to take the kids a bit of time because they have to read the passage and then answer the question. So you want to look for something that's a passage and multiple items. Okay, just FYI, because if they're going to take the time on a test to read the passage, you want the most bang for your buck. One question isn't going to truly assess whether or not they've mastered a standard. You're going to want to see multiple questions, but you can see here, there are a ton of options. Okay, before the tools that we had were not as extensive, right? So that is how you would browse and build an item bank assessment. Once I pull these up, sorry, I keep having to move my screen. You can see over here, it says add item. So I just add the items to my test. And then once I have created the items are added to my test, I can do like I did with the flexible assessment, and I can drag and drop wherever and as desired. All right. So that's how the item bank works. But just like I said, kind of in a nutshell, because I want to make sure we have time for Audra's reports questions or presentation, as well as the Q&A at the end. All right. Are there any specific questions right now about the item bank? I apologize for not being able to show you other.
Yeah, I'm surprised that 5th grade math one didn't pop up right away, because I would assume that would have multiple.
Oh, for sure it would. Yeah.
Like
Math
options.
actually tends to have a lot more.
Right.
But I don't think it's the item bank. I think it is just the computer processing right now. So I apologize for that.
Okay, so
I'm going to go back to our presentation.
Slides.
Yep.
And like Rhonda said, like the bulk of this was really just how do you get assessments? How do you create them? What are you going to use? But then once you have those, like, you know, how do you decide what you're going to view, like what results you want to see? And it really depends on your purpose and just your preference on how you're going to view those results. So there's so many options, you guys, within Illuminate, more than I even knew about, but I just wanted to show you a few. So we can go to the first one, and it's just student responses in general. Like after you have your assessment, you know, how are you going to access this data? So if you want just a simple list of student assessment scores, their percentages, performance bands, things like that, they're called student responses. And so to navigate there, here's the instructions on how to get there. I wasn't able to walk you through because I don't have any created assessments in my own bank right now. So following the steps didn't allow me to show you that. But if you go through and you toggle through assessments, go to view assessments, the title of the assessment that you're specifically wanting to look for the results of, go to reports, and then you will be able to search by the type of assessment. And this one is student responses. So pretty much for all of these, you're going to go through this process. And then the very last option is how you want to view the data. So here you see it's color coded at the end by their performance band level. They have the score written there for you as well. 1 through 4 being our scoring guide in grades K5. And then there's a percentage as well. So it's just, you know, however you want to see the data. If you'll go to the next one, Rhonda, this is a performance summary. This is comparing your students' performance to other periods, if you're secondary, or to your site, your PLC, your grade level, or the district, if that's an option, depending on the assessment. And again, there's the navigation on how to get there. You'll notice that the 1, 2, 3, 4, the top 4 things are the same. And then it says performance summary at the bottom. That's the last thing you would click on. And your report would look something like this, very color coded. You've got bar graphs there, just another way of looking at the data. And then the last one is a peer comparison. And this one is more, I thought, I think would be a good tool for your PLCs because, and I know it's tiny, if you zoom in, you can probably see, but like it'll give you the average score for each question answered. And then it'll tell you at the bottom, the distance each student was from the average. So I believe, let me click on mine here, to be a little bit bigger. I don't think it's going to change for me. There was one specific student that was, oh my goodness. Hold on. That's okay. I'm going to blow it up if it's going to look crazy for a second. So second student down, Adriana, she had 50%, but the average was 69%. So on the second graph or the second chart here, it says question group performance compared to the group. That's why it's showing her, minus 19, her distance from the average was 19 points. So that's how you would utilize those two different types of reports. Let me
I think it's
this.
important to note too, just like what Audra said at the beginning, the reason she couldn't show you live how this would work is because she doesn't have any student data in their like current student data, right, Audra? So
I don't have the assessments or any student data to show you.
Right. So you guys have access to, once you've delivered an assessment, these are the steps you would go through. Also, I believe is the test data from last year. Well, there wouldn't be for only secondary
We didn't
because we didn't
that
have
either.
tests. Right.
Right.
Never mind.
So one of the hurdles when you're trying to show things that just aren't there for now, but you can definitely, well, Rhonda will talk about the question mark box in a little bit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's where we pulled the pictures and the screenshots to be able to show you what they would look like for today.
All right. Any questions about the reports? Reports to like, if you need support with reports, that's when you're probably gonna email Corey. If you're needing help with a particular type of report, and I am happy to help you with that, and Audra would be happy too. But we're going to show you like what we would do to get support until I can't figure it out, and then I go next door and I talk to Corey or somebody in the data department. But we'll show you all of our tricks because I know sometimes it's easier to play with it yourself and kind of figure it out. But right now, are we ready for Q&A? Yeah. So what are some of the things about Illuminate with which you're struggling? How can we help support you? So feel free to unmute or use the chat, whatever you're more comfortable with, but we're happy to be your sounding boards.
Hey, I was curious about the item bank. I was looking at it while you guys were going through it. I was just curious if you could show me how to make an assessment for the 8th grade and maybe if that's all right. Go through some of the same stuff. Sorry.
That's okay. No, were you able to access the standards?
I was, but then I was confused about how I got there. And then I kind of panicked and deleted it. So
Okay. Okay.
I'll go back to create an assessment.
Okay. And I'm going to walk through, I'm doing it on my screen right now so you can kind of see.
Okay.
So create an assessment, new item bank.
Untitled.
Mhm.
I'll just put example.
I have so many test titles, Rhonda practice. With
Well, I
various,
panicked because I was like, I don't want this to post to my kids. And they're like,
Yeah,
what is example?
it won't, it shouldn't without you allowing it. It isn't like in some other systems like Canvas or even in Google, if you post something and it's accidentally like posted for all to see. I don't think that happens. I don't think it should happen in Illuminate.
My reputation would never recover.
Yeah,
All right, browse.
you would be done. You would be done forever. Okay, so subjects. I'm going to go back to ELA, click off math, and then I'm going to go to grade level. And you said 8th grade?
8th grade, the best.
8th grade. All right. So there we have our standard. So at least it isn't making a liar out of me. It does that. Okay, and we'll do reading for lit.
Sure.
What do you think? 8.3. I
Sure.
love theme. Let's do 8.2 and 8.3
You got it.
just
And
to
I'll
play.
I'll click done.
Okay. And I'm doing that too. And then I have pre-populated over here. You'll notice, guys, that it's just keeping my options from last time. So I had selected constructed response, multi-part, and multiple choice. And so here are the 172 results that are pulling up for those standards. Oh, I'm going to click off of I lied. I was still in for the 12th,
11th
11th and
grade.
12th grade. Yeah. Okay. So 85 results.
Okay.
Okay. So anything catching your fancy here?
I mean, very, very cool. Yeah.
So let's go to this one because there's 8 items.
Mm.
I like when there are a lot for me to pick from.
The legends.
The legends.
The legends. Oh, very
Yes.
nice.
So the options here, so here's DOK 3. And one of the things that impresses me about the item banks is it does have some of the DOK levels that are higher, right? A lot of times on these types of tests, it's only DOK 1 or 2. And so I'm going to read, let me see if I can expand this.
Hey, let me hit the show more thing on the right.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. So read the paragraph from the passage, and then how do the characters' actions contribute? Detailed information. I don't know what that is. Oh, so here it tells me when it was created, and it gives me an item bank number that I don't know that I care about. But down here at the very bottom, you see it says add item. So I add that, and it's going to go to my test. And then here is another multiple. So that was a multiple choice option, another multiple choice option in paragraph 5. How does the author's extended description of the girl's actions contribute? So I'm happy again about this one because they're going to read one passage and they're going to have multiple questions associated with that same passage, because for ELA upper grades particularly, having them read multiple passages is what's going to take the whole time for the test. And I want to be able to assess, their mastery of the standard. So I'm just going to like show more again, and then I'm going to add item. I'm going to look for one that isn't multiple choice, and I'm not seeing one right now. But here's a good at the bottom here. Which of these inferences about the narrator's relationship with her mother is supported by the text? Right? So I'm going to pretend that I like that one and add item. So I've added 3 items already to my test, and I'm going to hit confirm. Note also that I have the option to create an item. So if you want to add something of your own, right, to the test, you can do that.
There was a question that came in, Rhonda.
Yeah.
This feature of creating assessments, will it work for the Hmong language as well?
I don't know what so if we look here under edit based standards.
Corey, do you happen to know?
Yeah, I don't know if world languages, if the standards are in here. I'm thinking probably not. The reason that I'm thinking that is because science was just added. Oh, wait a minute. So here's Spanish. So probably, Mr. Vang, I think that's you. I'm assuming that's you asking, Mr. Vang.
Yeah, that was Mr. Vang.
Yeah. So Spanish, it looks like something standards for California, common standards for California and Spanish are here. That's the best of my Spanish knowledge, guys. I feel like I failed. Anyway, that's here, but I don't see anything with Hmong. All right, Mr. Cheney, does that help a little bit? Okay, so you guys, it's actually pretty cool to look through and see the different question types. Like I would like to sort and see the like more of the multi-part questions only, because those are really popular in ELA, where they have to like select the text and then answer the multiple choice question. And so those are accessible in here. Also, if you want to build a test with those types of questions, you can build it within Illuminate. So that's kind of a cool thing. Good question. Okay. Mr. Vang, going back to your question, would it work with creating assessments in Hmong? If that's what you're asking, you probably could create your own assessment.
So that was the second question I was just responding to. Yeah, you can create your own. You just don't have access to like a pre-built,
Right.
like bank of questions.
They don't quite have questions for you to pull from, but you could definitely build your own.
You could probably
I
contact
think yes.
Illuminate and maybe do it for them and get money on the side. I don't know.
I think I'll be able to create the assessment in here, but I will have to go through a lot of those standards to see which one will be related to the Hmong language.
Right.
Right.
Very good. Okay, other questions about anything else that's on your mind involving the assessments, reports,
Login.
login?
You can type them in the chat. We can.
Yeah, you can unmute if you prefer, whatever is comfortable for you. So I just want to plug one thing real quick. So I went to an Illuminate training last year, a virtual Illuminate training. It was a 5 a.m. because it was Eastern time. It was pretty brutal, but it was like actually one of the most valuable webinars that I ever
Such
went
a dedicated DIS.
I won a prize. I never win anything, guys. And one day I got an Illuminate box in the mail with a beanie. I mean, it was pretty cool. So and a mug. I always love a coffee mug. Anyway, but I felt like I earned it because it was 5 a.m. But anyway, one of the things that they suggested was using Illuminate for like an entrance ticket idea as opposed to like the exit ticket. And so what they did was they encouraged teachers to have a daily question, an entrance question based on whatever skill you were going to be teaching that day. And it needed to be, so like this could totally be done outside of Illuminate, but don't tell Illuminate that I told you that. You could use Kahoot or something like that. But any tool with which you can collect data. So a multiple choice question where the multiple choice options aren't clear cut. In other words, you want students to be able to discuss and debate why choice A is the better choice than B. They need to be close enough. And they have done studies to see that that discussion piece over what question is right and the whole conversation about justifying their correct answers, students have jumped considerably just because they're having that productive dialogue. And so the idea is have them answer the question in anything in which the data is collected and displayed, and then have them have that conversation. Why was answer C the most chosen? Why, those kinds of things. And so it's something you could do within Illuminate very easily. But like I said, don't tell Illuminate. You could probably use a poll. You could do lots of things. But I think that value in the conversation as a tool for formative assessment is fantastic. So just an idea out there. I should have linked that presentation.
That's okay. This was
Forever,
basics.
forever the 5 a.m. presentation. Yeah, we'll do that next time. All right. Other questions? Okay.
Okay.
That's good. We don't want to take your time if you are good to go. I'm hoping that this was basics, but hopefully it covered some of the basics that you were wanting to know. That's one of the reasons why we sent out the agenda, because we didn't want anybody to be, looking for, the
deeper dive
into Illuminate. That we got to save some of the good stuff
that
for
wasn't
later.
today.
That's not today. Okay, so a couple things about this slide. So on the left there, you will see the Illuminate kind of the dashboard or navigation. And you see the question mark at the bottom with the number 12, because apparently I have 12 messages that I need to read. I don't know how to read my messages, Corey, later. Sorry, you can help me with that. But I want you guys to know how helpful that question mark button is, because all of my answers have come from that question mark. And there are quick guides and resources within Illuminate that are so user-friendly and have better screenshots and take you through everything. Like I stole some of their screenshots because they weren't coming out clearly on my computer. So
that was the box I stole my screenshots from as well, because I didn't have access to any reports. So
right.
They were all in there.
Yeah. So the tools there, and I'm like, if you just type in, I'm going to show you real quick. Here, I'm going to go back to my home, exit. It's very user-friendly. Dare I say dummy proof. I'm going to see, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to be able to get there and it's not going to be dummy proof, but
we're recording this presentation, Rhonda.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you, Audra. Thank you for being my filter. Okay, so there's my question mark, help center. Oh, that's 12 announcements. I answered my own question. And if I just type in the words quick guide, look what comes up, like quick guide for assessment reports, quick guides, item bank, quick guide for flexible assessment. I mean, tons of things. So if you search the quick guides, you're going to be in good shape. I'm going to type in flexible assessment question types, because that's one of the things I wanted to know, like what were the different types of questions and what do they do? And so it's like very easy clickable links. Okay. Coming back here to this page, these are some of the links we thought you might need immediately. So it takes you step by step through creating a flexible assessment and the new item bank assessment, which is what we went over. The question types I think are really helpful. And then analyzing a flexible assessment is what Audra went over. So those links are there, and those should take you directly to that help page within Illuminate. I'm not sure that you need to be logged in to access them, but all of you are able to log in now, so you should be good to go. All right, but please don't forget about the question mark. The question mark is your friend. All right. Why don't you?
All right, so if there's no further questions, our names are there. If you need help with anything, you can reach out to any one of us for any of the following. Chances are, if we don't know, we will be using that question mark box for you, or we will be calling Corey, and we will get you the answers that you are requesting. But we are glad that you joined us today. Before you go, if you wouldn't mind taking just a moment to give us some feedback on our PD for the day. These 1 hour sessions, were something we could provide, being that we weren't able to give a full day to this. So hopefully you were able to take something from it and be able to use it back in your classes this week. So you can either scan that, or you can
this link if you would like,
click on the
and it should
link.
take you to the feedback. Also, we will pull a report from Zoom for all of the attendees today and give that list to Laura Schlent, who is our admin assistant here. And so she will be sending you an email within the next week with your EWA number. And that will be used. You'll submit that information on Informed K-12 for your 1 hour compensation for today's training. And so once you get that and you fill out the form, you'll submit it to Nicole Rosales, and she can be found under Program Coordinator PD. So she's like, it's a very long list of people, and she is near the bottom.
Right.
So that's why we gave you her full title.
It's alphabetical by department, not by her name. So look under the P's.
Mhm. Very good.
Well, thank you for your time with us today. Again, fill out that feedback, and we hope to see you at another training soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. Have a great
Thank you.
afternoon.